Welcome to video number 7 of Hearts of Iron 3, their finest hour. We're going to get the ball rolling here. In the last video, we had some various things going on. Italy was progressing nicely down here, and then it looked like the UK started a comeback. We'll see where that sits at. Japan is not doing anything yet. And I was just reorganizing my infantry units to make them 5 brigades in each division, and fleshing out each corps to make it, for example, the 1st Army Corps, to make it 5 divisions. And I also use the corps headquarters as a combat division. So that gives me 6 combat divisions in each corps. These were my spare that I took out from these to make them all 3x, which I'm now going to insert in the ones that need it. Alright, so that's 5. 5. Alright, this right here needs 3 infantry brigades with the headquarters, which I'm going to make the big red one. We will insert them in. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the headquarters. Now we need this one to fill out its headquarters. Now well, I want to click on 3 of these. There we go. And we're going to assign that to the 5th Army Corps. And this one to the 5th Army Corps. Let them get up there. Kaiser Wilhelm II. Well, look at here. Germany declared war on the Soviet Union. June of 1941, Germany has decided destiny. Soviet Union have decided for the Motherland, and the Comintern gets another member. Okay then, let's see how this plays out. I'll come back to that and look at that every now and then. Alright, now we've got a strategic bomber. That's good. I believe I do not have any other strategic bombers in production, which means I'm going to throw in another one. That should be, if memory serves correctly, that should be. I noticed also that declaration of war by Germany lowered the amount of consumer goods I need, so I'm just updating that. And I do not want to, still don't want to produce supplies. I'm living off of trading for supplies. I have been since the beginning of the game, but I believe that brings me up to just 1 total strategic bomber. And that is correct. Okay. So what have we got here? 6 units, 6 units, 6 units, 6 units. Interesting. So right now I've got 4 complete corps, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Each one has 5 divisions and a full headquarters complement. Now what I lack now is to add, as you can see, I've already added artillery and anti-tank to the 1st Corps. So I need to do the same thing to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and go ahead and flesh out the 5th. Right now the 5th only has 2 divisions, So let's go ahead and create the rest of it. They need an artillery and an anti-tank. We'll create them as reserves, and that will be 3. They have 2 now, so I need 3 more. And we'll move those to the top. And you can see here we're already producing mechanized and some more anti-tank and artillery. And we have a diplomatic decision here. Expand the undeclared war. Yes, I'm going to do that because historically it was done. I don't necessarily normally do that. Because again, my playstyle is alright, commerce defense, that's good. My playstyle is I like the Germans to do well. I don't like the Germans to be steamrolled earlier in the game because it's a very boring game for the USA when that happens. And it looks like I once again have more research than I have slots for, which is okay for now. Now the Soviet Union, I am going to decline. I will not give them Lend-Lease. Again, they are perfectly capable of defeating the Germans on their own. However, I mentioned that the Republicans won the Spanish Civil War, and that generally means the game is going to go a little askew and be a little more entertaining for me, and hopefully for you also. We'll see. Cast pilot training and TAC pilot training. Again, I'm going to let the further expand. Okay. Now let's see how far this is on. Goes out now. Naval map mode. You can see that the U.S. is not officially in the war, but we are protecting all the way to England. The Battle of the Atlantic, if you recall, historically the U.S. did escort convoys to England, even though we were not in the war. So that's a good, interesting thing to see how far that goes out. Again, the Japanese are not doing anything at the moment. And yes, Bolivia, you can have the A-25. Excellent. Some light cruisers. Excuse me, these are actually heavy cruisers. 3 of them. Now, that's level 5 heavy cruisers. So what we want to do is just replace them with 3 more heavy cruisers. Top of the queue. And again, we'll check on Germany and see how well they're doing. Now, it looks like Germany is using their diplomatic influence on us. And if you recall, I'm not doing any counter espionage, and I'm not supporting the ruling party. Now, that was because at the beginning of the game, I did want the Republicans to come into office, and they have now. So at this point, I'm actually going to support the ruling party and drop down the raised national unity by 1. Still not going to do any counter espionage. You can see I have 558 spies due to free spies due to my mistake at the beginning of the game. And we got some Marines. Excellent. I will put them in, where else? San Diego. And I always have the same commanders that I choose for these Marines. The first always gets the same guy. The second always gets the same guy, so forth and so on. However, generally, they're not available this early. Now, Van Griff always goes to the second. That's just the way I am. And the third generally gets Smith. I like the fact that they're both logistics wizards and commando. Now, I would prefer to put Geiger in the first, but he's just not available yet. So we'll wait till after war breaks out, and Geiger will be available. Well, looky here. Artillery, barrel, and ammunition. That brings me up to 40. Okay. I'm going to remove that from the queue since we don't have enough here. And the next one, what I was going to say is it looks like Italy is holding their ground here. Destroyer crew training, amphibious warfare. Alright, destroyer crew training we want to take out. Everything here looks good for now. Naval is up. I'm waiting to get that unrestricted submarine warfare, which will come in handy. 1940s tech. Okay, theory. This is 41. Industries 42. I'm going to check on the radar. Okay, that's okay for now. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and start on the tank, the medium tank research. Okay, they're no longer attempting to influence us. Now this is, let's look at the, now see, I haven't been influencing myself, and Germany has been influencing me off and on since 1936. You can see I'm practically in the Allies camp already. And that's generally, I don't really use spies for much of anything because it's just not a part of the game I find interesting. I'd like to see something happen down here. Battleship crew training. Go back to tanks. Looks like it's just a stalemate. And I imagine that's because, alright, there's that other artillery, it brings it up to 40. Now, I imagine that this is a stalemate because England, of course, owns the Med now, as far as their navy is concerned, would be my guess. And Italy cannot bring any more troops, so they're only having to work with the troops they have here. And let's see how the Soviet Union is doing. Well, I see they're pushing back already. See, this is what I dislike. The Germans just generally do not do well against the Soviets. And it makes the game boring when the Soviets overrun Berlin in 42. I just don't like that. But we'll see. We'll let it run and see what happens. You can see they're already pushing back. Trade interdicted cruiser warfare. Okay, these are good. All these naval techs coming out. Now, I believe the armor is completed. Everything's at 1940 with the exception of the light armor, which is going to be mechanized units. And I need that self-propelled artillery, so I'm going to start on the light armor and just take them up for now, just far enough to get that self-propelled artillery. Alright, August. Now, I've been debating about whether I'm going to, sometimes when you get these games that go, as I keep saying, when the Spanish Civil War, Republican Spain wins, sometimes the game goes a little off the rails, if you will. And Japan may or may not declare war on me around December of 41. And I've been debating whether or not I want to force them to. As of now, I think I will not. I'll play it out just for a little while if it goes into 42 to see what happens. So I think that could be interesting. Let me fill out the second here with artillery. And AT. And again, I put AT in my Pacific divisions because eventually we do want to take on the Soviets. And I like to get that AT trained up. Now, you can see I'm starting to have an issue with my officer ratio. Now we need to fill out the third. So we need 6 more artillery. Again, as reserve. And 5 more anti-tank. As reserve. Okay. Move them all to the top of the queue. Make sure our upgrades and reinforcement is sufficient. And let her rip again. I'm a little concerned that this is just a stalemate and Italy's not really doing anything. Again, I'm going to decline the Soviet Union's request, because as anyone who's played the game knows, they're perfectly capable of beating the Germans all by themselves. That's a couple more destroyers. I like that range. The destroyers you start out with, as you can see here, have a range of only 1,500 kilometers. Well, the level 5 destroyers have a range of 3,100, so it's a little more than double. And that's very handy, especially if you're going to do any kind of Pacific warfare. Now, throw in 2 more destroyers to replace the 2 that just came out. Again, update the reinforcements and the upgrades. And check back on the Soviets. Unrestricted warfare, I was waiting for that. There's going to be a time when I will want to unleash the submarines that I believe I have building. Tactical bomber. That brings our tactical bombers up to 5. I'm going to throw another one. 1 to replace the one that just came out. Alright, yeah, Germany's wasting their diplomatic points, I believe. Decline. Cruiser crew training, excellent. Now, what do I want to use my research on? Let's look at theory. It's 42. Everything here is 42 that I have an interest in at this time. Fighters, that's what we're going to upgrade right now. So that's going to stick to the fighter tree until everything is upgraded. I like that. Operational organization. 44, excellent. Yeah, this is just a stalemate, so there's nothing happening there. And it's typical that the Soviets are able to... Let's take a look at Dover. That's good. Something else comes out of the submarine. There's the submarines. Now I'm going to place them in San Diego. And I'm going to go ahead and give them Seawolf commanders based on what I have available right now. English and Withers. Okay, I will assign them to the South Pacific or the Pacific Theater and let them stay there for now. What I was just about to say is it's typical that the Germans falter here in the southern flank and the Russians push right along through here. It's also typical, though, that Romania and it is generally joins the Axis. I don't remember if they are now or not. No, but they're aligning towards the Axis. And generally that's where they falter. This line here held by Romania, the Russians usually just steamroll. But they're not in the Axis yet, and they're still neutral, so that might give Germany the extra oomph it needs if they can continue pushing down here. I believe if they can get to this line here, and then if make all of this German territory, then if the Romanians do join the war, it won't be that big of an issue. Except that the Romanians will probably run through here using all of Germany's supplies, but that's a separate discussion. Spotting is 43. Take it back to the fighter tech. Again, I want to get those drop tanks for the Pacific. It does look like, well, see, there's the great, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that adds 3,500 manpower to the Soviet manpower pool. That is more than Germany has from the beginning of the game to this point combined. So it's going to be very difficult. Large front, that's 42. We'll take that all the way up to 44. Again, that saves on supply. Infantry warfare, 42. Let it run. Let's take this 5 extra IC we have now and put it back into production. And this is just so. I wish Italy could do something down here. Honestly do. Although my last single player game I played, Germany took Gibraltar. That surprised me. Oh, and I see, you can see now that with Germany owning the majority of southern Greece here, there is a chance that they will stage an invasion on Gibraltar. We'll see. We'll keep that guerrilla warfare. Fighter ground. Again, we keep fighter techs running until they're ahead of time. Mass assault and central planning. It may be slowing down now. Tactical air command. Again, the Soviets are pushing back. So the Germans may have reached the extent where their supply starts being a hindrance to them. They have pushed a fairly good distance if they can make it to Moscow. Harrisburg. I know I've checked all these before, so I know that they're good. Basing, that's very important also, but I don't want to research it ahead of time. It just seems, I realize from a third-party observer standpoint, it seems odd for me to be rooting for Germany and Italy. But again, I like to have an entertaining game. Leningrad just fell. That's good, actually, from my standpoint. Let's take these 5 or 7 extra. Everything that I want to produce is being produced. You can see unit-wise. So the only thing that's lacking right now is just a couple of industry, and that's acceptable, perfectly acceptable. Although, oh, wait a minute, we got some movement down here. Italy's making a move. We'll keep the special forces advanced. That helps the Marines. Well, they have the Suez Canal. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. Now, does it become an issue? Now, to supply, I believe, for the Brits to supply all their Asian holdings, they've got to go all the way down around the Horn of Africa now. They can no longer use the Suez Canal. That will get interesting with Germany being able to base U-boats out of the former French ports. That means all of their, because I've seen Germany base out of various ports in Africa, on the west side of Africa. I can't remember what the circumstances were, but I have seen it happen. I don't know if they base out of Vichy, France, or Vichy, France, but that could be telling. Now, look at this. They're bypassing Alexandria, pushing east. Man, I don't know. I got to tell you, I'm getting a little excited here. Okay, there's Romania just now accepted into the Axis. Now, as long as, oh good, now if Romania can push through here real quick and for example, grab this port here, Sevastopol. I knew I would butcher that, that's why I didn't initially want to try and say it. And Italy, wow, I can't believe they bypassed and they're just continuing to push. I like that though, I do like that. This is what just came out. All right, there's those 3 that are going to fill out the 5th. So let's slide them in there. And that will complete it as far as a full combat corps, not including the original 2 and the headquarters that doesn't have artillery and or anti-tank. That gives me 5 full army corps, 1 full complete army for the most part. Now then, let's take a look at what we've got. Everything is in production. I want to see the number of interceptors I have. Okay, I have 8 interceptors and 4 fighters. All right, now I'm going to up. How many fighters do I have? None and no interceptors. Okay, so I'm going to throw in 4 multi-rolls. And that should take up all of the available excess production. We will want those again for the Pacific. And we got about 4 minutes left of this particular Let's Play, and we still haven't, it's November. I don't think we're going to make it to 41 or December. Well, we may because it's the 29th. Romania is mobilizing. Just stay out of Germany's way, Romania. Do what you can to help, but stay out of their way. Invasion tactics, good. Because I do so want those assault ships. If I can get, always, every game I play, if I can get by without having to build landing craft, I will. I'll go straight for the assault ships. And by that I mean the research tech, and then build them without having to build the LCs. And I do want the air search radars for the fighters and multi-rolls. Interceptors. Naval targeting, that's fine. That's good, because I will need to do some port strikes in the Pacific for sure. Oh, this is looking better all the time. There, they even did a uh-oh, we got here. They want the A-25 and no, Soviet Union, not going to give you any lend-lease. Civil engineer, that's what I like to see. Bring that up to 43. And what do I need to do now here? Let's see what I know what I'd like to do, but I want to see what I'm going to do here. Okay, I'm going to go back and do the theory techs and the civil defense. Get those up. Again, saving supply, repairing faster. Look at how close they are. Look at that. Assault ships. Definitely want them. And that's a level 10. Maybe I shouldn't say level, but there's a 10 difficulty factor, so it's going to take a while to research them. It says June of 42. 6 months is not bad. 5 months, I suppose. And there's the AT brigades. I don't want to, I'm going to hold off until the artillery brigades, there we go. Because I'm just a creature of habit most times, and I like to have my artillery brigades added before I add the AT brigades. Don't really know why, it's just what I like to do. When I look at them, I want it to be this symbol here, artillery and then anti-tank, not anti-tank and artillery. Just an oddity that I have. Fill this out and add the AT brigades. Looking nicely, looking nicely. Now again, these units will be used in the Pacific, and we're about 1 minute from ending the video. Need to upgrade everything here, and I've got 11 excess. What I'm going to do is throw in a naval bomber. Move it to the top. Okay. Well, once again, it looks like, well, it's January 42, and you can see the Japanese did not declare war on me. 2 more destroyers. Throw in 2 more destroyers. They haven't declared war on anyone. This is a good point to stop the video and apparently I made my decision that I'm not going to, like I said, I think I'll let it run into 42 a little bit to see what the Japanese do. If they haven't declared war on me by, I don't know, July of 42, then I'm definitely going to embargo them. Because, again, we don't want it to be boring here. So we'll see that in the next video. Thank you for watching.